I think we're live. Let me grab the link. We'll tweet it really quick. Send it out in the Discord. Let's see. Yep. Okay, perfect. Let's go to the NPA Discord. Do you have the chat open by any chance? Here, let me link this to you as well.
Yeah, I have Discord open.
Okay. I just sent you the actual stream link.
Sure, let me see if this works. Yeah, I see it live. Wait, do I hear any sound? Yeah, I hear it.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so I sent it in the Discord. Let me tweet it out really quick, and then we're good to go.
Awesome.
All right. What's up, Sid? Bro has the full government name as his YouTube username. That's funny. All right, we'll give people a couple minutes here. While we're waiting, let me just double check my audio again as well. I think the music is maybe a little bit too low. Get music up a bit so you can hear that. This is like a consistent issue for me. I never know how much to boost the music by. So it always ends up low. Hey Alexis, welcome in. VGC, indeed. I have Helios with me today. We're going to talk about week 2. And we are not going to talk too much about the drama that happened in week 2. We'll leave that as a you had to be there kind of situation, I think. Because I want to keep it productive here, so. Cool. Why don't we go ahead and get started? We have some people filing in. So week 2's in the books, finally. It felt like there was an incident that happened at the start of week 2, and then there was a separate incident that happened at the end of week 2, and I think I aged about 3 years during the duration of this week. So really long week. Hopefully week 3 is cleaner, has less bad stuff going on. Cabbage Connoisseur, let's talk about that really quick before we get started. So the way that pairings are decided in this season of NPA, we have a battle score. So you can think of this kind of like your battle rating, right? Almost. Let's see, a bit lower. I'll turn the music down just a little bit. So think of this like, you're laddering on your battle spot or you're laddering on showdown. As you beat opponents, your rating will go up. As you lose to your opponents, your rating will go down. And so we have this implemented on a per player basis for NPA. And so each player has their own battle score. And what we're doing for pairings each week is we're taking the top 4 battle score on each team, and we're randomizing those 4 players against each other. And then we're doing the same thing with the bottom 4. So it's not exactly like top battle score versus top battle score, 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, etc. It's top 4 versus top 4, and then bottom 4 versus bottom 4 in a randomized order. And so that's why you see, like, for example, Polar Bear, I think, is obviously he's one of the top rated players right now on the cruisers in terms of battle score, and so he could have played any of these 4 players here. It just so happened that he was randomized into Red Snorlax. And the same goes for any of the other top 4s on the cruisers. So that's how pairings are decided. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the week. So we saw cruisers actually have a very, very dominant victory. They're second in a row. I think week 1 they also went 6-2. So cruisers off to a really powerful start here over the Trailblazers. Birds and Stars end up tying. Rollouts actually take a pretty big win over the Puppies. We'll talk about why that's a big win once we get to those power rankings. Pixies end up winning 5-3 over Blizzards despite some weird shenanigans happening. And then Blades end up taking it 5-3 over the Samurais as well. So only one tie this week. But, what I would say is I think there were some upsets this week, just based on the way that I personally rated the teams, at least initially. Helios, what do you think? How did you feel about the way that these matches turned out?
So personally, I think in terms of where I power rank certain teams, I personally power rank Cruisers as the best team in NPA, which is why I honestly I'm not too overly surprised by them 6-2ing the Trailblazers. Birds and Stars, I did not have too strong a feeling in terms of where those two teams were at power ranking wise. So I did think 4-4 was something that I would expect. Definitely did not expect the rollouts to be beating the puppies. In because I did have the rollouts power ranked quite low on my personal power rankings, and I think a lot of that may be uh due to the way that they drafted, whereby I do not think that having 19k or something like that at the end of the draft is something that I would advise anybody to do, but it did
Yeah.
have it at the end. So I think automatically that just I instinctively had them on a lower power ranked team on my own personal tier list otherwise, but I may or may not need to revise that because of that, because it may show that I have underestimated some of the rollouts players. In fact, the Pixies and the Blizzards. We do have the entire brouhaha that happened at near the first game of the week. So I think that has affected the result of the week in some way. Um, and Blades versus Samurais, I did think that Blades were a strong team, but I also did not expect them to be beating the Samurais, which I thought was probably a stronger team in terms of my own personal power ranking.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we have Mogo in the chat from the rollouts management. He actually said something that the rollouts had kind of been talking about earlier in the season in the Discord, is they didn't really intend to have that 19k left. They just kind of got all the players that they wanted, kind of well below their expected values. So maybe whether that was a misread on the draft, or whether that was just like good fortune for them. I guess we'll see. We'll see how they do throughout the season.
Yeah.
But so let's talk really quick, I guess, about each one of these matches here, kind of more in depth. So Cruisers versus Trailblazers. If you take a look at this Cruisers team, they brought the same exact team 6 times. They have 8 Basque Legions again, which they also had in week 1. They had 8 Basque Legions across the board. They had, a lot of very similar teams. Kind of a similar trend here. They had literally 6 of the exact same team. They had 8 Basque Legions. They had 7 Glamoras, right? They seem to really be a team that is like stuck to the flavor of the week. Maybe they're ahead of the flavor of the week. They're bringing, they decide that they're bringing this team before it really becomes as popular as it does. Maybe they're just like, we think these are the best teams in the format, so we're just going to bring them in every slot. But it's kind of reminiscent to me of, I think it was NPA 9 or 10 maybe, where the season was being played in Sword and Shield, and Cruisers at that time were actually known for bringing Gmax Colossal in every single slot every single week. And so I wonder if we're going to see a similar trend.
I can actually give a little bit of context to that, because I heard this from someone within the old Cruisers organization in that NPA, that they had specifically a channel that was purely for talking about Colossal.
Yeah.
So that was a thing that did happen in that NPA.
Yep.
I don't think that this is something like that. From what I understand from talking a lot with Alexis and Sven, I think that this was much more a coincidence, and they didn't even notice it until we saw the graphic at the end of the week.
Yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely. Yeah,
but
the old cruise
I don't
actually.
think that
I forget
anyway.
what they called it. It was the Cole Academy or something. But they had a Discord chat where Roxon was just in there teaching every single player on the team exactly the lines and the flowcharts for every different Cole matchup. So that was very funny.
Yeah, that was a very wild NPA. I remember watching some of the old Cole replays as I was trying to learn how to use Cole, and I saw Roxanne's Cole live a helping hand G-Max earthquake from Calyrex Shadow.
Yep.
That was the wildest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then so looking at the Trailblazer side, they actually got both of their wins off of this same Charizard Glamora Whimsicott team. That's we've kind of seen to be the most used team across the board, like even outside of NPA. This team has really
Mm,
been very high usage in like Victory Road tournaments and many Limitless tournaments and things like that as well. Um,
yeah, for sure.
and Trailblazers actually, to their own credit, they brought the same team 4 times. It looks like one, two. I guess this is a variation with Dragonite. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Actually, their teams were not super similar, but um, yeah. I mean, taking a couple wins here. Two-Shot getting a big win with a Rain team with Mega Scizor. Actually, Mega Scizor tends to match up very well into this kind of Whimsicott Glamora team. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
and the Mega Dragonite as well is an adjustment that we've seen towards the end of this past week. That a lot of people are running Mega Dragonite as well on these, not only on this Rain structure but also on the Sun structures as well as an alternate
Mm,
Mega.
for
Um,
sure.
and then their other win here coming from Pastor using what can only be described, I think, as a Pastor team, right? It's a
I
team
do
of
believe it's a team that's been popping up on ladder quite
really,
recently. Right? You have basically the idea is that you have a Talonflame and you start Talonflame and Cleaver versus that team because it's because the Whimsicott just does not have a way to stop Faint plus flying move from the Talonflame because it has priority.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, we've seen Cleavor, I think, popping up a little bit as well. Just by nature of Charizard Y being the most used Mega in the format.
For
Cleavor
sure.
with its Stone Axe sets Stealth Rocks, so good against Charizard in the lead. It has to Charizard either has to avoid getting hit by the Stone Axe, or avoid switching out so it doesn't get hit by the Stealth Rocks on the way back in. Kind of good against Charizard in the front, good against it in the back. Um, and so as long as it hits that Stone Axe once, it's effectively beating the Charizard no matter where it is, which is always a good thing. Um,
Yeah.
and we've kind of seen that. Just to talk outside of the scope of NPA as well a little bit, we've seen similar things like hazards come into play a little bit more. So there was a Japanese team that was using Stealth Rock's Garchomp, doing very well on the in-game ladder. So
Oh
we saw
yes.
that with, I believe they had Yawn, Fissure, Snorlax to kind of force those switches as well. We saw Nails. It play in, I think, Victory Road is what he played in with like a Hazards plus Toxapex type team for like infestation trapping and things like that. So we're starting to
Oh,
see a
did
lot
he?
more of these strategies. Don't ask me
Yeah.
how he finished. He didn't finish well, but he got a few wins over like standard archetypes. So um,
I even see mons like Hisui and Samurott pop up a little bit more than I like to see them on ladder,
yeah,
for sure.
definitely. Yeah, I mean Samurott. I think a lot of people have been running. No, maybe not a lot, but some people have been running Scarf to be good into Basculegion and also like set those hazards to break these sashes right on Glamora or on Whimsicott or break Dragonite multiscale, things like that.
Yes.
So cool set. Cruisers going up 2-0 in NPA. Very very dominant fashion as well. So their differential is also looking amazing. Um, and Trailblazers taking an unfortunate loss here, but good teams across the board. And I think that probably they shouldn't be too discouraged. I mean, every player here had a good take on a team. I don't see anything that stood out that was like crazy to me that I wouldn't have expected them to bring. So I think they have a big hill to climb, but they're still in the running here. Moving on to Birds versus Stars. So kind of a similar, not to the extent of Cruisers, but Birds actually brought this Archaladon team. I guess this is like the Hirofumi team or the Ubi Slow team. One of them, there's different variations of this like Mousehold Gardevoir stuff.
This looks like a variant of the Hirofumi team, because if I'm not mistaken, the Hirofumi version has Instant over Venusaur.
Yes, I believe so. Yep. And then I think Ubi Slow had Sableye over Mousehold, but he also had the Venusaur. Maybe he was a different Mega.
He had the Sableye, Sylveon, and the Dragonite instead.
Gotcha.
Gardevoir, Mousehold, and Pelipper, respectively.
Got it. Okay, so this is I would say it's more of a Hirofumi modified then. And then on the other side, we see Stars, the same team 4 times, the same team that the Cruises have been running, right? So this, they have one switch up here, but the Basculegion, Charizard, Garchomp, Glimmora, Whimsicott type teams popping up again. 2 on the side of the Birds as well. So a lot of similar teams popping up here.
Personally, I have to keep stopping myself from saying Big Six every time I call this Whimsix.
Yep. It's the Big Six of the week for sure. I think we'll see if it carries on. I think we're already starting to see some counters pop up, so I expect that people will find what's good into this pretty soon. But pretty even matchup across the board here. Luca taking a big win over Stefano. Arakusabi winning over Dark George. Joey UX9 winning over Renzo. Gahaku over Carey here. Uncle Lou, this isn't his first match in NPA. It's his first match this year. I think he played 1 or 2 games last season.
He did play last season.
Yeah. And then J Modri getting another big win actually over Teotime here. This match ended up being delayed, so it was played this past Monday, but really big win for them there. Kakunaka getting a big win over Pizza Gradient, and then Bread coming in over Pipagore here. So
this was a very interesting week for both teams, because I remember watching some of the matches. I was like, wow, that's a lot of hacks.
Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah, a lot of these games came down to like rock slide flinches or crits or things like that.
There was a double protect in the Joe UX9 versus Renzo match, and I think there were, if I counted correctly, 4 crits in the J Modri versus Tier Team match.
Yep. Mogo, yeah, I said that, and then I realized that I was talking about Stealth Rocks, not Spikes, but yes. Spikes from Samurott are not breaking those Dragonite multi-scales. It's just the rocks that are. But yeah, so actually, I think, is Keanu now... Was this his first week playing? Let's see.
I think this was his first week.
This was his first week, so... Unfortunately, starting out with a loss there. Teotime last week started out with a win, so he's 1-1. Still doing fine. So, a lot of these players, I think... are doing pretty good. I think Stars need to, pick up the gas a little bit, like step on the gas a little bit. They're at 2 ties now, and Birds are 1 win 1 tie, so they're doing okay. But yeah, I think for the Stars right now, my opinion is that they really need to kind of get one more win out of their weeks here. They need to get up some of these early points. Because the later you get in the season, the more ties you pick up, the harder it's going to be to meet those playoff qualifications.
For sure.
All right, so rollouts versus puppies. This one was a surprise to me. A little bit of a surprise to me. I didn't expect it to go 5-3. I did think that puppies were going to take this either 4-4 or 5-3 in favor of puppies. But some of the matchups here actually went completely opposite from the way that I was expecting. So... we started off the week with Mega Umbreon versus Michael Derbest. This match happened before our week 1 recap, so we talked about this a little bit more over there. And it was actually the first match of the week. It was played very early.
Yeah,
But other than that, Fedecampo taking a 2-0 over Animus. To be honest, makes sense. Fedecampo has looked very, very strong. I think he is 2-0 now, and he by far has the highest rated battle score here in NPA this season. Arcane taking
he's
a
a
big
very
win
smart
over Sir
player.
Aaron. Yeah, absolutely he is. Nash VGC taking it 2-0 over King Blex. Max LJCR actually taking a 2-0 over Sohaib. So this is, to me, this is a really big upset because Sohaib is a player that's been around for a very long time, tends to perform very, very well in NPA. So big win for Max, and big congrats to him taking a win with Volcarona as well, a Pokemon that we really haven't seen very much. And then we
Yeah.
have Code taking a 2-0 over PatCon. So I talked a little bit about Code last week. Just in case anybody didn't watch it or isn't aware, this kid is so cracked at Pokemon. He's like probably one of the best new players I've seen in many years. And he has a lot of time to grind the game. He's really good at a bunch of different formats. So having him debut here in NPA is really cool. And having him take a win over Patrick Connors is also very, very cool, especially this early on in the season. With a very cool team as well. He used Basculegion Female with Hex next to his Megasco villain.
Wow. Yeah, no, that sounds like a pretty good combination for sure.
Definitely. And then just moving on, we had Zachary Weed take it 2-1 over Sempra. So Sempra off to kind of a rough start, but big win for Zachary there. And then Santi taking it 2-0 over Matthew here. So pretty interesting week.
Fun little story. I think that honestly, if I'm not mistaken, I think Zachary Weed showcasing the Cleaver team is the first time I saw it being played. But after that, I saw it every single day on ladder because I think people figured out, wow, Cleaver there might be something going on with Cleaver.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of beating that team.
Yep.
And and maybe I can talk just a tiny little bit about the matchup. But one of the important aspects of the Talonflame team that makes it really good into the Whimsicott 6, I think, is the fact that it has a max speed floette. So it's timid max special attack, timid max speed, and if you look at what the Whimsicott 6 can actually really bring into it, it actually doesn't have a lot to answer a max timid speed floette.
Right. And I assume this floette was Light of Ruin, not Combine stuff then, right?
Yeah, it was Light of Ruin.
Check. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense with the Talonflame as well. But yeah, I mean, the teams just don't really have that much for it, especially with Talon being able to threaten Whimsicott like that on a turn 1. If Whimsicott goes for the Protect, then Kingambit gets the free Iron Head into Glamora. It's like a call turn 1, but it's also pretty favorable, I think, for the Talonflame side because this max speed flow, it can just come in and immediately start threatening.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. And yeah, you always have the free Sucker there, the free Gleam, and just wipes up the rest of the game here. So, cool team. And I think, even if we don't see the rest of this team continue to perform, I think this, like, the Talonflame Floette stuff is definitely here to stay. And is, like, for sure a format staple.
100%.
All right. Pixies versus Blizzards. So, Pixies take this 5-3. They had a weird situation with their first match of the week. So, Shuli wins 2-0 over Pseudos to start the week. And just to briefly touch on what happened, I mean, Pseudos, like, had some crazy crash out and leaked 5 of his slots prep to the other team and then left. So Blizzards are going into this week and they have information on 5 of the teams that Pixies were planning to bring. And so Pixies, obviously, they have to, kind of rework their teams like halfway through the week and say, okay, my opponents know that I was going to load this. They know that I was thinking about these things, so I need to rebuild my team. I need to bring something different now. And in spite of that, they still managed to pull through here. So getting a lot of 2-0s actually. Their bottom half 2-0'd the entire bottom half of the Blizzards, and then Multiboy managed to get one win over Gramgus, who had to get subbed in kind of last minute here. So good. I mean, great week from the Pixies. Great way to come back from a bad situation, and hopefully they don't have to deal with that in the future. And here again we kind of see the same structure, right? This Glamora, like Basculegion, Whimsicott, etc. Just being used and winning 2 out of 3 of its matches. So Healers, maybe you can talk a little bit more about the Blizzards and what you guys were thinking and prepping going into this week.
So I've actually said it in a few other group chats, but I think the league actually hurt us quite a bit as well, because in general I think what the Blizzards have been quite good at is trying to understand who the specific opponent is, and trying to understand what are the potential teams that they might be able to bring. And
Right.
I think we had a good read on I think at least three or four players that they were going to field that week. So I think because of that actually so that leak what it really did was more validate assumptions rather than really, oh, they're using this.
Right. Yep.
It really was more of a something where we were able to validate some assumptions that, yeah, I guess our read on this player has been right all along. So I think that is I think it's a very unfortunate incident. I will not go as far as to say that it hurt us more than it hurt the Pixies, because that is clearly not the case. But when the mental reset had to come in on, if I'm not mistaken, it was on a Friday. I think it was a scenario where both teams had to make the call: do we suddenly change team or not?
Right.
To try to better deal with the situation. And I think the Pixies dealt with it better than we did at that point in time.
Yeah.
So to them.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's just such an unfortunate situation, right? Both teams are like, should I switch teams? Should I not switch teams? How much of this information is true? Like, how do I approach this in a way that doesn't feel like I'm griefing the opponent based on, what happened? So, very, very, very unfortunate situation there. This pairing also, in spite of everything, had the highlight match of the week for me, which was Paul Chua versus John Hu. Paul Chua brings this kind of like Clefable Delphox team that we saw a few times this week. Also brought here by Lewis, and then I think brought by Sohaib as well for the rollouts. And he just gets dominated by Powdon. Like it's crazy, man. It's such a fun match. You guys, anyone who's watching should definitely go and watch this immediately afterwards. You can find it here in the sheet, or it'll be in the thread. I will actually, let me link the sheet here in the chat for you. So you guys can pop in and look at that as well. But such a fun match. And I mean, John Hu doing what John Hu does best. He brings the craziest looking teams and he makes them work somehow, right? So
yes,
very funny match there.
Well, that is a specifically John Hu specialty, which I think makes him such a massive threat in these draft leagues, because you cannot scout him. You just cannot.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and then we also saw, I just wanted to point this out, so Gramgus brought the same like Cleavor Talonflame Floette team, but instead of Rotom, he had Basculegion, which I think also makes a lot more sense. I think Rotom is, personally, I think it's not that well positioned right now, at least on this type of team. Maybe like on Sand or something, it's pretty good, but I like the Basculegion adjustment a lot. Unfortunately, I think Gramgus was in a bad position, and Lewis did know this matchup pretty well, so he ended up getting the win here.
Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Game 3, Gramgus also missed a key skill shot that could have brought the game back. So that shut the set down in front of us for sure.
Yep, 100%. Cool. And then finally moving on to Blades versus Samurais. Blades end up taking it 5-3 over Samurais. So I think, kind of what we're seeing from Samurais here is some of these like mainstay VGC players like Emilio and Z just weren't able to pick it up this week. Emilio now 0-2. I think Kotomi is also 0-2. Dubious Bulb taking a loss this week, although he's been kind of a structural pillar of the team last week, as well as, just in general in chat presence. So really, I think Samurais need to find a way to get Emilio a little bit more comfortable, get Z on a team earlier in the week, and then, they'll be looking at a much better situation there. But
Yeah.
Blades, I mean, no discredit to them, of course. Like they're coming out very strong. They're using good teams. All of their matches, as far as I'm aware, were played very well. At least the ones that I watched. This Nails versus Emilio game is also one of the highlights. If you're looking for like a really like top level like serious match, I would take a look at this. I think the way that Nails piloted this pretty unique team with Palafin.
Yeah, it was a beautiful game.
Very cool.
I remember thinking in week one that after watching Nails that it did seem like it looked to me like, oh, why is he leading this? This does not make sense. And coming into this week two, I saw him pilot this and I was like, wow, this was a beautiful game by Nails.
Yeah.
Very well played.
Definitely. Yeah, so actually just like some background info. So this is a team that me and Nails were laddering one night, and we saw it like pretty high. The guy who was using it was pretty high on Showdown Ladder, had good GXE. So we just ripped it. We created our own spreads there. Nails created the spreads there. And he was laddering, and instantly, like, he was like, oh, this clicks. Like, this makes sense to me. This team plays the way that I want to play Pokemon. So really, really not surprised to see him bring it here, and also not surprised to see him win in a pretty dominant fashion.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I did remember seeing that guy with 88 GXE or something like that. So really high GXE.
Yep. And then on the other side, for the Samurais, we see, I think not a lot of like very diverse teams, right? I mean, every team they brought here is different, but I think every team is also something that we've mostly seen. So this, Emilio brought, I think, what is Jay Modry's team from season 1 of the ranked ladder. Kotomi bringing this kind of, I guess this team is pretty unique. I haven't seen a lot of Hisui Typhlosion with the Mega Arrow.
This team is the team that ended off number 2 in the ranked ladder because, and what makes it work is that the Mega Aerodactyl is not a Tailwind setter, but just a pure offensive Pokemon. Right. So, if I'm not mistaken, instead of Tailwind, it has Ice Fang, which is used in order to beat a Garchomp.
Got it.
I don't remember specifically what set. Yeah, it was Ice Fang.
Yeah, Ice Fang. It has Foul Play on the Farigiraf. It looks like just Charcoal on the Typhlosion. So,
yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool team.
So this team is actually... I was steering out, and I do believe that this team is actually really good into the current Tailwind 6 from Whimsicott, because Mega Aerodactyl actually deals with it very well offensively.
Right. Yeah, and we've seen also Farigiraf be kind of picked up as, its usage is going out more because it's good into specifically that Whimsicott Glamora lead. Setting Trick Room versus them, and then having Psychic into the Glamora is very strong as well. So yeah, cool teams all around. Some teams I wanted to highlight as well that we skipped earlier. This team from Kyogre SG looks like a pretty standard Whimsicott Glamora team, but he actually had a Mega Dragonite. So this set was on card. It's available on the YouTube channel. He had a Mega Dragonite that had Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Protect as its set. And that set to me, and it was max speed timid, so it's outspeeding most Garchomps. It has the Ice Beam into them. It has coverage for just about everything in the format, right? The only things it's not hitting super reliably are like Glamora itself, and then like Incin, for example, right? Like fire types, it has a little bit of trouble hitting, but its special attack is so high that it's able to make use of all these non-stab coverage moves, and it tends to match up pretty well into Exactly this type of team, um,
Yeah.
which is cool.
He was unfortunate that he was not able to take the win this week, but I do agree that I think that Mega Dragonite, it's a Pokemon that does have potential into some of these Whimsicott six, and I think I think the team by Tota that won the Victory Road
Hmm.
just this past weekend, it did have a Mega Dragonite, and I think and in my opinion, it's one of the parts that probably makes that team have a stronger matchup into these Whimsicott six because if I do remember, he did beat Fede Campo in the Victory Road tournament, who was
Yeah.
piloting this Whimsicott six.
Yep. Definitely. Um, and then the other one I wanted to call attention to was this team by Gahaku. So I don't think this is a particularly new team. I think most people have seen it at this point, but it's kind of a full room team with Scarf Vivillon. And this team also matches up very well into the Whimsicott Glamora type stuff. Because you lead Kang Furgraf and they can't really stop you from setting Trick Room, right? Furgraf has the turn one pressure on Glamora, on Whimsicott, and then Kang has the fake out on anything else to prevent that, to prevent them from stopping Trick Room. And then you have Torkoal in Trick Room, Blastoise in Trick Room, and you can kind of mix it up into their leads. Once they realize they can't lead Whimsicott, you can start leading your Vivillon, and you have Scarf Sleep Powder as well. So pretty cool team as well, and this is a team that's very, very strong, I think, into Whimsicott Glamora type stuff.
Interestingly, I think the one game that Carey won, he did lead Whimsicott. I think it was game one, but he had a very good game plan into this for sure.
Yeah, let's
He
see.
he led Whimsicott as a bait, uh, as a basically a way to get damage, and led Charizard as a bait to get the toxic spikes down, and
Mm,
that really made it a lot harder for Gahaku to play. But if I'm not mistaken, I think there was also a double protect in that Carry got. So
gotcha.
that was also fortunate for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Gahaku actually went for the hard swap into Torkoal, and getting it right. Yeah, I guess with Twin Beam on the board, there's no pressure for that.
Yeah, Twin Beam is also another big part of why that team has a good matchup into the Whimsicott six because it just one shots Glimora.
Yeah. Yep. So Torkoal starting to chip down, and Carry just doing the
Yeah,
swap plus protect every turn to stall out this Trick Room.
yeah, he gets a double protect here, which really helps his case out in
Gotcha.
this matchup.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah,
That looks
once
kind
that
of cooked if there's no double here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you're loud, Aragon. Hold on. Let me turn you down a little bit.
My bad.
You're good. You're good. Also, welcome in.
Thanks.
Um,
Dude, he used the solar power, bro. He's the goat, man.
yeah.
It's actually just Blaze, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, I guess it would have taken recoil.
Yeah, it is Blaze.
But he did save it so that he can get Sun back up
Yep.
after he megas. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, cool set. And I mean, you can already see the strength as well, right, of this Trick Room team. So without that double protect, I mean, I think the game was probably just over as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool way to wrap up week 2. Um, something is wrong with these replays. Oh, probably because it's
It was
a
a
card
card game.
game.
It was
Okay, got it. Yep. So let's take a look at the overall standings. We see Cruisers and Rollouts actually the only two that are 2-0 so far. Birds following up close with one win, one tie, and then everyone else on the board has at least one loss, or I mean, Stars have 2 ties, but that puts them about the same as one win, one loss. And Blizzard's just trailing the pack here with an 0-2 start. So, to be fair, they did face Cruisers week 1, and Cruisers are looking like probably the strongest team right now. So,
Yeah, they are.
lot of game to
Yeah.
play still. And looking at the battle score, actually, we still see Fedecampo from the Puppies. By nature of starting out as a very expensive player, having some boost from playing last year, doing very well, and then also starting 2-0, he's very, very up there. Same with Polar Bear, same with MoMA. And actually, Arcane is 2-0 as well. Other than
Oh,
that,
that's an interesting one.
these players. I mean, I guess I'm not too surprised. Let's see, who's Arcane played? Junxi and Sir Aaron. Okay, sure, that makes sense. MDB at this 1-1. Nash actually 2-0, but because he was only 8K, he's still below some of these kind of top contenders here. But working his way up. Same with Mega Umbreon. Same with PMC. Same with Multiboy here. So
I do think that Pedro might become one of the players who has a legitimate run for MVP this year.
yeah,
I'm just going to make a hot take, but yeah, I
absolutely,
do
I can
think
see
he
it.
has a legitimate run for MVP. He's a really strong player.
Yeah,
Had
the
really
way he's been
impressive.
playing too, like all of his buttons that he clicks feel very good, right? Like there's
Yeah,
none of his games you can watch and you'll be like, oh, like this guy misplayed. Um,
100%.
so absolutely could see that happening.
This is crazy, dude. There's 5 cruisers in like the top 20.
Yeah, I mean cruisers are, it's kind of natural because cruisers won 6-2 both weeks, so their players are going to be
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to. But I mean, also they won 6-2 both weeks because all of their players are very strong. So, um, yeah, so okay, you see these standings here. Cruises on top. Blizzard's trailing here. Let's take a look actually at the PRs. So, we'll quickly. Oh God, what's the best way to zoom in on this? Let's do it this way. So the way that we had these PRs figured out is we had each team submit basically all the other teams except their own in order from 1 to 9, based on how strong they thought the other teams were. So in this case, just based on this rank, the lower the average, the stronger your team was rated. So small sample size. It was a sample size of 10, but the managers actually thought that Puppies were the strongest team in the draft. Cruisers came in second. Trailblazers and Birds actually tied equally for third and fourth. Samurai Stars, Blades, all kind of within a point of each other, middle of the pack. Same with Blizzards there. And then Rollouts and Pixies were actually pretty convincingly considered the worst or the weakest teams in the draft by the managers themselves. And now, so you take a look at this, Puppies, Cruisers, etc., and we compare it over to the current standings after week 2. And
Doesn't reflect that at all.
yeah, so Cruises are up there, right where they're expected to be. Rollouts, the only other 2-0 team. So despite their 19K left over, despite the general manager opinion, they're making it happen. I mean, they're doing great here. Let's see, middle of the pack here was like Trailblazers, Birds, Samurai, Stars, Blades. So Pixies also, I mean, 1-1 right now, so they're a little bit higher than expected. A lot of these other teams in the middle were solid. This makes sense. And then Puppies down here all the way at the bottom, towards the bottom here. So rough start for them. I think, they played Rollouts who are 2-0 so far, so we'll see how that how that plays out. But tying with the Samurais, who are also kind of down here, is not a great start for the Puppies, I think. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, pretty interesting. And of course, the disclaimer is that power rankings are for fun. That they don't mean anything. They're just kind of a fun way to create storylines throughout the season. So, if your team was ranked low, don't get offended. If your team is ranked high and they're performing poorly, don't.
I do think that
don't
a
get offended
lot of
either.
why the Pixies ended up at the bottom is because the Sudos situation just happened when you released the power rankings and people just instinctively ranked them lower. But
Yeah, definitely.
in terms of if you look at it from a pure drafting perspective, I don't think there was any world that Pixies should be the bottom ranked team in the league.
Yeah, I think that is the case as well. I mean, starting off your draft with Paul Chua or Rayquaza, like darts as well, right? I mean, Yoshi and Lugia for 3K also is such an underpay. So they have the picks. It's just, I think a lot of these picks are players who are either controversial or don't really engage outside of specifically the Australian scene. So probably managers are not super familiar with them or underrate them a little bit. But yeah, I mean, pretty interesting to see how those How these PRs changed from the start of this week, and I'm sure a lot of managers are kind of reevaluating that now towards the end of this week as well.
I think the only team that really surprised me in terms of where I was personally PRing them is really the rollouts because uh, I did have them as a bottom two team as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at my PR as compared to this PR, um, but yeah, they've really been able to outperform their opponents. So that is because we play them this week. It's something that we need to think about. To like why are they doing so well, and really trying to better understand what makes them click. So there are obviously going to be lessons that we can learn there, but figuring out what those are is really going to be the job of the managers
Yeah,
who play against them.
100%, 100%. Yep, and like I said, it's only week 2. We have a lot of games ahead of us, so it's always possible that these standings can change, as the season goes on here.
Yeah.
So I think that covers it for week 2. Let's take a quick look at the stats. So Basket Legion's still at this, 70+% usage. Garchomp making his way up to 50%. King Gambit making his way up to 50%. Really, if you look at these Pokemon, right, it's just this one
It's
particular
just
team,
tactics.
and then this particular team. The fact that this team was used 20 individual times, right? There's 5 matches, or sorry, there's 8 matches. There's 5 pairings. So, what is that? Like 80 matches per week. And this was used literally in 1/4 of the matches this week, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I don't know. That is just crazy. And this will change as the season moves forward, and as we start to have these regionals as well that really push the meta. Now we're officially done with Reg I, so I think everyone is kind of coming over to Champions now and
God.
starting to make some progress here. But yeah, pretty interesting to look at. Some of these mons, like Furograph is also making his way up. This Pokemon was very low usage week 1. Kind of similar with Dragonite. Dragonite making his way up as well. We still see the other weathers like T-Tar, Ninetales, etc. Politoed is down towards the bottom here. Politoed being down here indicates that there's not much Perish usage as well. So that's something interesting to keep in mind.
And that, in my opinion, is criminal.
I think
I know that Emilio did say on the Top Takes podcast that he thinks Parrish is very mid, but in my opinion, it has a really good matchup into the Whimsicott 6 team.
Yeah, it does. It does. The thing with Parrish is I kind of feel like that's the only message the only team that is a good matchup into.
Yeah, I agree.
At least
Yeah.
a reliable matchup.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the thing is, just like Gengar in general is a bit like it has a lot of negative matchups into a lot of the top ones. Like it can't trap Basque. Chomp is obviously annoying for it. Gambit is like, so you just look at the top 3 there, and it's like pretty difficult. But like with the right support, it obviously can overcome that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm not really surprised to see it like not being super widely used.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So why
I'm really just like surprised like how much more Basque is than Chomp.
Yeah,
that is just crazy to me.
I think so like week 1, I think Bass was at was already at 70% usage, and the next most was like 35% or something. And then week 2, if you look at it,
before
like
the super team,
it's a literal 8 Basques here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this team, 6 on this team, 8 on this team. Like it's just disgusting, man.
It's just the best Pokemon in the format.
Yep.
And,
8 on this team as well.
I think this week just shows it.
Yep. So it is the other crazy thing, right, is if we were to dive deeper into the usage stats, which we don't have here in the sheet, but the Basque Legions have like 4 different items that they're running. Like they run very different sets. It's just like you just can't deal with this Pokemon, man. It's such a problem.
I'm pretty sure that maybe about 100, at least 100 times adaptability is used as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we have seen I think very little Swift Swim. Actually, week 2, Geo had Swift Swim on his open team sheet, so he was intending to use it here. He had an error. He ended up using adaptability by accident, but um, this is like one of the only instances of Swift Swim that I saw, I think, throughout this week. Um,
Yeah.
so even on the rain teams, they're opting for adaptability just for the extra damage as well. So let's
Yeah, I
move
mean,
on
like the
to
lack of a.
week 3
Oh,
here.
sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. I just want to keep this moving so we can get out of here really quick. So week 3 matchups look pretty good. We have Pixies versus Trailblazers. So if we look at standings, they're both Pixies have 1 win, 1 loss. Trailblazers have 1 loss, 1 tie. So Trailblazers really looking to establish a win this week to keep themselves in the running here.
Yeah.
And I mean the matchups look good. We have some really cool matchups here. A-Ray versus Pastor is very cool. Yoshi and Lugia versus Chichiot. Interesting matchup
The
there.
highlight is Darts versus Kyogre SG, in my opinion.
100%. Yep. This is by far the highlight match in my opinion as well. The other cool one is Chosen Future versus Feist. I think this is Feist's first game this NPA, so we'll kind of see how he, how he not only how he performs but also how he manages to adapt to his schedule here. Playing
Lewis
someone.
Markle versus Cheng Fu is also another really hype match. Cheng, for a little bit of a small history, Cheng Fu is a very long time Blizzard, and Lewis was on the Blizzards last year, so I think they may or may not have interacted in that team. So in some ways, this is a Blizzards reunion
Very cool.
in the NPA as an NPA match.
Yep. Very cool. So yeah, definitely looking forward to these. If we can get Darts versus Kyogre on cart, that would be amazing, because then we can do like a proper official cast of it, which I think would be really fun.
Mm.
So next matchup here, Birds versus Cruisers. So Cruisers obviously number 1, Birds coming in at number 3 here, only 1 point behind. So this is a big match. This will kind of decide, if Cruisers end up losing this week, or even if they end up tying, Birds will actually take the number 1 spot, I believe. Or if they tie, they won't. But
Yeah.
Birds with a win here will end up taking number 1. And some really hype matches here as well. Arakusabi versus Azulite. Both players, I believe, are 2-0.
Yeah, both players are also very good at it right
good.
now.
Yep, and both are very good in like specifically online team tours as well. Like even compared to their skill and relative to the IRL circuit, right? Azulite has been a team tour demon for a very long time. Arakusabi's kind of a newer player, but he always performs well. So very very hype matchup there. Geo versus Kakunaka, again, these guys are friends. They're both amazing players. I think they both have very interesting takes on the meta that are not exactly standard. So we'll definitely see an interesting match here. And I mean, even like Uncle Lou versus Giso here is like a crazy fun match. Giso or Frost, you might know him by, is a very innovative team builder. He puts a lot of time into his practice. And Uncle Lou is kind of the opposite. He doesn't put a lot of time into his practice, but he's very good at the game. So it should be fun. Cool. Rollouts versus Blizzards. So let's see, how are the rollouts doing? Rollouts are right at the top. Blizzards are right at the bottom. So if Blizzards can get this win this week, this is a massive win for them. They'll drop the rollouts in points. They'll keep that gap pretty close as well. So Santi versus MoMA, really cool matchup here. I think both of these players are also 2-0. MoMA 2-0. Is Santi 2-0? Where's Santi at?
1-0.
1-0. Okay.
Yeah.
He's somewhere down here. There he is. 1-0. Okay. Cool. So cool match there. And I think this will be the first week that Santi really has to flip off of this kind of like Gengar stuff that he's been using. We'll see him be forced to adjust. Otherwise, MoMA I think will easily capitalize on that. Mega Umbreon versus John Hu. So I think Mega Umbreon has also brought the same Frostlass stuff or similar Frostlass stuff week 1 and week 2.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, so different takes on the team, but still using Mega Frostlass. And if you continue a trend like that into John Hu, he will lock you down. Like that's just how it is. So it'll be interesting to see how both of these players adjust. And if John Hu brings something crazy, I'm always hyped to see that as well. Let's see. Any other highlight matches you think you want to talk about?
Mm, I think
Just want to hear
I
some
think
people.
another maybe I think Shuli versus Zachary Weed is also a pretty good match.
Yeah, 100%.
Shuli, someone who has been in general has been a good NPA player. I think last year he went 7-2, which is why ultimately we picked him up. And Zachary has been on quite a tear in the IRL circuit lately. So I think this is also a good match.
Yep, definitely. I actually I think I saw a tweet from Zachary earlier saying there's no way people actually like this format. It's so trash with some sobbing emojis. So so we'll see. We'll see how Zachary actually feels. If he's not having fun, then that would be
Yeah.
a little bit unfortunate as well. But so that yeah, that'll be fun. And then I just noticed this one, Sohaib versus Gramgus. These guys, long time U.S. World Cup teammates. They've both been in the scene forever, so that should be a really fun match as well.
Also locals, from what I heard.
Yes, they are locals. Yep, they're both from the Northeast. Puppies versus Blades. So we have Max versus Candy, fun match. Fede Campo versus Mirai. Also, this match I think will be probably the highlight for me this week.
Yeah, it's the highlight of the week.
I think so. Highlight of the week, maybe among all the matches, right? Among all the pairings. Um, Nails versus William Brown is another one that stands out to me. Now that Nails has kind of shown his hand with his team last week, I'm curious. What is he going to change teams this week? Is he going to find something new that he's super comfortable with, right? Because one of the things with Nails in these team tours is that he tends to just kind of load up something from his builder a lot of the time and rely on his kind of general skill at Pokemon to navigate whatever matchup. And the problem is Champions is a new format and he doesn't have that much in his builder. So
Oh.
we'll see. Same with, William Brown is also a player who's like very well known to kind of innovate. Anytime there's a new meta trend, he's always innovating a new team. So kind of polar
Yeah.
opposites there, right? We'll see how that one comes out. We have Faye. Is Faye 1-0 now, or did he play week 1?
He beat Apron, yes.
He beat Apron
Week
week
2.
1. Yeah. Let me see. Did he play week 1?
It's the last match. The
Got
last
it, got
match,
it, got
yeah.
it. Yep. Yeah, and then week 1 he did not play, right? So he's 1-0 right now. Faye actually, so DOU player, VGC draft player originally, maybe, I believe. I don't know exactly what he played first, but he always tends to do really well.
It was like
in these...
singles draft first, I think.
Got it. Yeah, he
And
always
then
tends to do
VGC
really
draft,
well
and
in
then
these VGC team tours. Like he did well in VGC Classic, I believe. He typically does well in NPA.
He's never played Classic, but he
Oh.
did really well in NPA a couple years ago.
Maybe it was did he ever play like Winter League or
No, that was before his time.
Oh, okay.
The first
I
time
think
I saw
it's mainly
Faye
from
play-
NPA.
Got it.
The first time I saw Faye play was in NPA 2 years ago, where I think he went 6x, like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
that
he's like
checks out.
6-1
Maybe
or
that's what I'm
something.
thinking of then.
Good friend of Trace, which is why he ended up on that team in the first place.
Yep. And then our final match here, Stars versus Samurais. So Stars have tied both weeks, and Samurais have tied one, lost one. So both of these teams are really looking for a win.
Yo, Zern versus Slush.
Yeah,
BW.
Zern versus Slush.
I know the one game of the week I'm watching.
Yeah. This one's super fun. Dicey versus Luca, super fun match. Lewis versus Gahaku, super fun match. This is DD versus Dill, Stickbugged, if you know this player. So also very fun match. Just some banger matches across the board here, I think. It should be really fun to watch this week.
But yeah, these are some good matches this week.
Yeah. So let's do really quick predictions. You don't have to give me an exact score or anything. Just tell me which of each of these teams you think is going to win. I guess I'll start. I think Trailblazers are going to take it over Pixies this week. That's my prediction.
Looking at
I
this, I
concur.
do think that Trailblazers, or at least personally, I think it would be something of a tie. That's
Okay.
my prediction. Because I think the matchups are, to me, there are some one-sided matchups in my opinion in this, but ultimately it's draft league. We don't know what's gonna happen.
Definitely.
So I would say a tie for this one.
Yep. And then Aragon, you said you also think Trailblazers are going to win?
Yeah, I think they look favored here.
Okay. Got it. Let's do Birds versus Cruisers. I think Cruisers are going to continue their tear here. I think they are looking well positioned.
Same.
I would be surprised
Yep.
if this went less than a 5-3 in the Cruisers' favor.
Yeah.
Blizzards versus Rollouts. This one is tough to me. I don't know where. I think so much depends on like if the Blizzards can get a couple wins early. I think they snowball, and if not, then probably it'll end up in a tie. Is how I'm positioning this.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'll skip out on this
Yeah,
one
yeah.
because obviously I'm biased here.
Blizzards manager. You should be voting in favor of your team, man.
Nah, every time I vote on something, shit happens that week. So I will not.
For sure. Very wise. Aragon, what do you think?
Well, I think Blizzards obviously there's like a lot of pressure to bounce back from the kind of negative start. I'll go with a tie. I think.
Okay.
That
Got
seems pretty likely to me.
Yep. Puppies versus Blades. I am actually maybe a surprise, but I'm gonna put my faith in the Blades here. I think Blades are gonna come out on top this week.
I don't think I disagree with you actually.
Okay.
I don't either.
Okay. The 3-0 for the Blades. That is more surprising than I thought that me saying Blades was. So pretty cool. I think it'll be
I mean,
close.
clearly
though.
something isn't clicking for puppies, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Clearly something isn't clicking for the puppies, right? So, Stars versus Samurais. How do you guys think this one will turn out?
There is a very interesting player here, and I personally think that samurais are probably our favorite here.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I think that if Emilio wins this week, then Samurais will win. If they can't get Emilio to win, then I think that Samurais are going to tie.
Yeah. I also hope my man Apron pulls through this week.
Yeah. Kamoti. What the hell? They spelled his name wrong.
Yeah, that's
fixed
the
it.
play I found.
That's crazy.
Fixed it. It's fixed. Nobody saw that. Yeah, I think the big worry for Samurais, for me, right, as a third party, is both Emilio and Apron are 0-2 right now. And you really want both of these players to kind of bounce back earlier in the season so that they don't burn out, they don't feel like they're wasting their time, etc. So a big win this week for either of them would be really big. I think one for the team morale, and then also two just for these individual players, because they're both the type of player who once they start winning, they'll keep winning, kind of thing.
Apron is one of my best friends in VGC. So as one of his best friends, I do want him to start him. I do want to start seeing him win. And he's also a really, really good player. So
Yeah,
honestly, seeing him go 0-2 was a very big surprise for me.
definitely. Yeah, same here. Yeah, I think it's just, early format, and the matchups just didn't happen to go his way. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Stars, obviously very strong players on their side as well. I think Joe has a good matchup here. It's hard for me to root against Luca. I think this guy is like so good early format. That's Iceberg, in case anyone doesn't know.
Luca has a very good understanding of how to play. Or at least I think his biggest strength is that he is very good at first timing teams.
Yeah.
So because he plays so much of the game, I think he just has a very strong innate understanding of the game. So it helps him a lot if he needs to suddenly adapt to a new team.
Yeah, 100%. So Stars have some standout players here, and I think as long as their standout players win, they can at worst bring this to a tie. But we'll see. I think this is the closest match of the week in my head.
Sure.
Cool.
Where's Stars sitting at record wise?
Stars have 2 ties right now, so they're 0-2.
Okay. Okay, yeah, they're tying again, man. I don't make the rules.
Yeah. So actually, it's pretty funny. Every year of NPA, I think there's one team that goes 0-0-4 the first 4 weeks. Like almost every season, there's always a team that just has like an insane number of ties compared to every other team. And then they always like those last couple of weeks, they're always in that playoff contention spot, and they always just barely miss on differential. So I think Stars really, really want to put themselves out of this position so they don't follow that same curse. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I think that's it for us today. I didn't have anything else too much for us to talk about here, and we'll be back next week to kind of recap week 3. Hopefully, we'll have some written power rankings out. Obviously, right now we just have these the rankings themselves.
Yeah.
But similar to last year, we're going to do a thing where we kind of write out a little bit more about each team, about the history, about the draft, etc., and have a big page up. So aiming to do that by next week, but we'll see as time allows.
Awesome.
Cool. So yeah, thanks for joining me today, guys. If anyone in the chat is looking to check out the week 3 thread, do some predictions, I will link it here in the chat as well for you. We have a predictions format that you can copy here, and just do predictions like the Crow did. So I got to get mine in as well, but should be pretty fun. And then you can keep up
lock
with us,
in, bro. Where are your predictions, man?
I know it's what day is it? It's Thursday. It's Wednesday. Okay, I still have a day. Don't worry.
Wednesday.
And then after this stream ends, I'll go ahead and link this doc in the description as well, so everyone has access. And with that, we will go ahead and wrap it up. So thanks for joining, and see y'all next week.
GG's. GG's.
All right.